What is good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. And today, I'm Autoxin Gaming, and I have you a brand new deck profile. This is going to be the Dark XYZ deck that me and my buddy Zayd have been working on. And the deck is actually really cool. It's just about turboing out into your Union Scrambles, which is like a crazy card. Probably shouldn't be in the Speed Duels format, but it's here. So, like, hey, let's use it. But yeah, it just turbos out into this trap card every single turn. If you don't know what it does, you target up to three of your banished light machine, normal monsters, or union monsters, and special summon them. Then during either player's turn, except the turn this card sent to the graveyard, you can banish it from your graveyard, and then get a light machine normal monster or light machine union monster from your banished, and then add it to your hand. So this card is like really crazy in Speed Duels right now, and it pretty much is what turns this deck into probably the number one top contending deck of the format right now. But without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into it. And we're going to start with our pieces, actually. I know that's not how the deck is kind of lined up, but I do, you know, alphabetical order usually. But we play one X-Head Cannon, two Z Metal Tank, and one Y Dragon Head. The reason why we cut back with so many pieces is because we're actually, like I said, turboing into our Union Scrambles. We actually don't need to have the amount of pieces that we usually play when we're playing this deck. So we just have a minimum amount, and you'll see in the replays like how this deck is supposed to play, and how like even though you don't have the amount you need, they're still like all right. Next on our Dark Monster lineup, we're playing 3 Night Assailant. This is kind of the card that we were just like, yeah, this is why we want to build this deck. Union Scramble Night Assailant XYZ is like a crazy deck to do. Allure of Darkness, and it's just, you know, so many good cards can be put into this deck that turn this deck into like the menace that it really is. And Night Assailant is like crazy because you use any of your fusion monsters discard effects. You have 2 Night Assailants in hand. You discard 1 Night Assailant, and then it loops the other Night Assailant back to your hand from the graveyard. And it is just so powerful. Moving on with the Dark Monsters, we play Triple Sphere Karibo, which in my opinion makes up for not having the trap cards. It's also another dark target in your deck for the Allure of Darkness. This card is just like incredible. It's really good in dueling, extremely good in Speed Duels, and yeah, just if you're playing any Dark Monster deck, this card is just the card to have. Moving on to the spell lineup, we play Triple Allure of Darkness so we can get into our cards faster, like I already explained, getting into your Union Scrambles, and we discard our Sphere Karibos, and we don't have our Karibos, we have our Night Assailants. And so, yeah, it's just to get to our Scrambles faster, get to our pieces if we don't have them. And it's just, yeah, really good cards to have. We also played Triple Union Hanger. This card is absolutely bonkers. So you activate this card, you can get any of your 3 pieces that you need. When it's activated, you can normal summon the Y Dragon Head, equip the Z Metal Tank, and then if you end up Union Scrambling the Y Dragon Head back, you can actually equip another Z Metal Tank from deck. So that's the reason why we play 2. But it's really good, and it kind of like is your searcher of the deck, you know. It's just the only card it doesn't search is your X-Head Cannon, and that's the reason why we play 1X Foolish, just so we can get the X-Head whenever we do absolutely need it. Lastly is the bread and butter of the deck, the Union Scrambles, playing it at 3. You don't want to play this card at any less in any XYZ deck. If you do, you probably should reconsider your deck build. This card is just way too good for the format, very powerful. Like, I can go on about this card for literal hours and why it shouldn't be in this game, but it is. And yeah, so highly recommend you guys play this at 3, especially in this build. This build is like the most optimal build for Dark XYZ in my opinion. So yeah, you don't want to play any more than 20. You want this deck to be as consistent as possible. So playing 21, playing 22 is just not the deck that you want to play. If you're playing 19, you're not playing Speed Duels, you know. But yeah, moving on to the side deck, we're playing double Night Beam in here. That way, if we go against like heavy like Zoma decks, Nightmare Wheel decks, like having the Night Beam is just really clutch. You can change this out for any card you really want to, like Twisters, Dust Tornadoes, cards like that. Absolutely up to you. Waking the Dragon would be neat, but like the only cards you're getting out is like these guys, because these guys can't be special summoned by Waking. The other cards we're playing are 2 Floodgate Trap Holes. Floodgates are kind of in here. These are the cards I'm very meh about. The only reason I put them in is because I love this card in this format. And yeah, they can come up, but in most cases where they're coming up, these cards, Lost Winds are coming up better. You're also playing Lost Wind at 2. And Lost Winds just, you know, are kind of better Floodgates because you're using these cards in the XYZ matchup. Same with the Floodgates, but you know, you don't want to be using both. But This is for your XYZ matchup, your Moss matchup, and I guess this is kind of where Floodgates come in, because Floodgates also work in the Spellproof matchup, because you can hit the big birds face down, and that means a lot in this deck. Moving on to your XYZ monsters, or your Fusion monsters, I should say. There you play one XY Dragon Cannon, one XZ Tank Cannon, and we were originally playing one YZ Tank Dragon, but eventually decided to move it to 2 instead of playing 3 copies of XYZ Dragon Cannon. So we're just playing 2 and 2 of this, so it's pretty much the basic lineup that you're going to see with the Fusion monsters. Some people don't play the XY and play another XYZ Dragon Cannon, but for this list, it's just banishing your monsters to get them back with Union Scramble is kind of what this deck is doing. So you want to have every single piece, that way you can banish them and bring them back whenever you can. But yeah, this is the deck. Hopefully you guys like it, and I'm just going to get right into the showcase. Me and Xyz are showcasing it to you guys, so without further ado, I'm going to jump right into that. So this is the match we're playing. Xyz is actually playing that Moisture Creature Fairy deck that just top 16 in the Winnabox for the Speed Duel Legacy tournament. I thought that deck was really neat. He also thought it was really neat. But so without further ado, like I said, I'm just going to jump right into this. So the deck is like really cool. He didn't draw well for it, and we also didn't like open the best for what we were supposed to as well. But it doesn't really matter for us. He goes ahead. He sets the Spell Shattering Zoma into Cosmic, and then passes the turn off to us. We use the Union Hanger here, and this is going to get our wide hand. But he's going to use the Spell Shattering Arrow, which has been a really neat tech to play against the Union deck. So that happening here, I'm just going to send a Z Metal Tank, which is a mistake on my part because I should have said Y here. And then I'm just going to use X and Z to summon out the XY Tank Cannon. Discarding the Sphere Karibo here, hitting the Cosmic, and then attacking directly for 2400, which goes through. I pass my turn off to my opponent. By the way, I do that, if you notice. Your opponent doesn't take damage when you use Union Combination, but the thing is I always declare attack on the opponent with it. Even though they're not taking damage, you can still declare attack. This makes it to where your opponents are, like, if they don't know what your skill does, you can essentially cheese out the Sphere Karibos, cheese out the Zomas, even though you don't really matter, and stuff like that. So it's just a better way to play, in my opinion, because, like, I know how my effect works, and if my opponent doesn't know how it works, then they should have asked me that card. Sets the Night Beam face down, sets the book face down, and then it's my turn. I'm going to use the YZ Tank Cannon, using its effect to discard the Sphere Karibo, targeting the Night Beam, using the YZ Tank Cannon to target the Book of Moon setting my monster face down, to which I get flip it face up. I attack the opponent for 2400, and then pass the turn off to them. They get the Breaker the Magical Warrior, use a Switcheroo, and then draw them to banish the Radiance. Passes the turn off to us, to which we draw into the Allure of Darkness, using the effect to hit the Zoma. Zoma's then summoned in defense position, to which we attack and just drop ourselves for 2400 life points. Passing turn off to the opponent, he gets the Cosmic Cyclone and the Banisher. We draw for turn gain the Union Hanger, activating the Union Hanger here. Opponent uses the Cosmic Cyclone to get rid of the Hanger, and then we attack into the Banisher. Opponent draws for turn, getting the Valhalla, and then that's just game at this point. Because we discard, hit the Valhalla, and attack directly. So, XZ Tank Cannon beat down, kind of cool. Moving on into game 2. We open up the Night Assailant, which was really cool. We use the Hanger here, getting our wide hand. We want to get as many of our pieces as possible, like I said previously. Using the Union Hanger to equip the Metal Tank, and then using the Allure of Darkness to draw 2. In this case, we're able to banish the Sphere Karibo, and then since we have the Union Scramble, we want to go into the Fusion Monster, summoning the YZ Tank Dragon, and setting the Scramble face down. The opponent draws for turn, drawing into their Zone of the Spirit, uses the Scramble to put back the Radiance, I think it was, and then drawing into the Waking the Dragon. They summon the Breaker of the Magical Warrior, hitting the Scramble, to which we use its effect to summon back out both of our pieces, and then using the Hanger here to equip the Z to the Y. The opponent sets 3 cards face down, proceeds in the battle phase, and hits the Z Metal Tank. We then go into our turn, getting the next Night Assailant. We bring in our X-Head Cannon, to which our opponent then Cosmic Cyclones our face down Z Metal Tank, so we can't go into our XYZ Dragon Cannon. We use our Union Combination, and then banishing all the materials into XZ Tank, and then we discard the Night Assailant, hitting the Zoma, discard the Zoma, or the Night Assailant to hit the other face down, to which it was the Waking the Dragon. At this point, it's like we get back the other Knight Assailant, and then our opponent summons out the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. We hit into the Break of the Magical Warrior and pass turn on to the opponent, who draws into the Offensive Doom. Uses the switcheroo and ends up drawing into the Valhalla. Summon attacks into XY, and then that shit's going to inflict 2400 damage, and then it's enough to beat over us with the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon for game. Moving on to our next game. We opt to make our opponent go first, to which they put back the breaker and draw into the breaker. Passes to Specialist, summons the Banisher, and then we use the Union Hanger to use its effect and get back the Y, or summon the Y Dragon Head as a normal summon, and then equip the Z Metal Tank to it. At this point, we banish it off because we have the Union Scramble in hand, summoning out the YZ Tank Dragon, and then proceed to go into battle against the Banisher Radiance. Opponent draws for turn for his third breaker, shuffles back the breaker, and then draws into the Banisher. Summons the breaker here, uses its effect to target the Scramble, and then Scramble's going to summon back both the Y and the Z. Union Hanger activates here, and what that does is that it equips the Z back to the Y. We saw this previously. He hits into the Z Metal Tank, to which we Sphere Kuriboh, and we draw for turn. We go into the YZ Tank Dragon, switch our Z Metal Tank to attack mode, set our Allure of Darkness, and then proceed to battle phase. Z Metal Tank attacks into the Break of the Magical Warrior, YZ attacks directly, and then YZ attacks directly for game. And that's going to be the match, everybody. If you guys like this kind of content, make sure you leave a like. If you like me, make sure you subscribe. And if you like Xyz and the way that he plays, you should go subscribe to him as well. He's under Xyz Slater. I can leave a link in the description for you all if you guys are interested in him. But above all else, I want you all to stay awesome. Have a good day, and I'll see you all next time. Alright, bye-bye.